When you're ready.
Hi, you are all set and ready to go.
Thank you very much. Good evening. This is the Finance Administrative Committee meeting for September 9th, 2024. We have on our committee member Deb Poland, as well as Mayor Sherry Cantor and Councilperson Barry Walters. And then we have Gina Verano, our Corporation Counsel, and Rick Ledwith. Um, uh, uh, Minority Leader Zananowicz is also on the committee, could not make it this evening. I'll entertain a motion on the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes from the July meeting.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We also have, so we've got I think a quick but a large agenda tonight, and we do have some executive session items. So what we're going to do is, without objection, move that we go into executive session to consider certain tax appeals. So the first question is, without objection, that we go out of order. Hearing no objection, we will go into executive session. I move that we enter executive session for the purpose of discussing strategy and negotiations with respect to the following pending tax appeals: 700 Farmington Avenue, West Hartford LLC versus Town of West Hartford and Board of Assessment Appeals; JAR Partners LLC versus Town of West Hartford and Board of Assessment Appeals; Jeffrey Reiner, trustee, versus Town of West Hartford and Board of Assessment Appeals; Jeffrey Reiner, trustee, another one of his, versus Town of West Hartford and Board of Assessment Appeals. Hearing no objection, the motion passes. I invite the town manager, tax assessor, and the deputy corporation counsel to join us in executive session.
All right, we will see you over there.
Completely.
Gerardo, would you mind resending the executive session link to Joe?
Yes, I will do that right now.
So did we have multiple meetings? Right, we are back. I see a screen though that shows executive session. There we go. All right, we back on the air. You ready?
Good afternoon, Councilor Winograd, or Deputy Mayor Winograd. Yes, we are.
Thank you very much. So we are back from executive session, and we do have action to take on discussion. So I'll make the motion on this. I move to ratify the settlements of the pending tax appeals. 1, 700 Farmington Avenue, West Hartford, LLC versus Town of West Hartford and Board of Assessment Appeals. As to the 2021 grand list, the fair market value of the land and buildings located at 700 Farmington Avenue is $1,040,840. 2, Jar Partners, LLC versus Town of West Hartford. As to the 2021 grand list, the fair market value of the land and buildings located at 711 Farmington Avenue is $4,402,000. 3rd, Jeffrey Reiner, trustee versus Town of West Hartford and Board of Assessment Appeals. As to the 2021 grand list, the fair market value of the land and buildings located at 25 Stanley Street is $2,278,740. And finally, 4, Jeffrey Reiner, trustee versus Town of West Hartford and Board of Assessment Appeals. As to the 2021 grand list, the fair market value of the land and buildings located at 23 Oakwood Avenue is $914.40.
I second the motion, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seems unlikely since we have the mover and the seconder. I call for a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. We will now move on to other items on the agenda. Mr. Ledwith, if you'd like to walk us through a lengthy list of.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And I will note that Councilor Kara Blanks is now also on the meeting.
Thank you. We do have a number of resolutions before you this evening, several of which will be on our council agenda tomorrow evening, and then a few which will be put on the September 24th council meeting. And for the most part, they're fairly standard with a couple of exceptions. And I will take us through the first one, which is it's an annual resolution actually that where we appropriate funds from our library fund to purchase computers and furniture and professional services. This year, we are requesting $79,918, $15,000 for computer equipment, $49,900 for furniture and equipment, and then $15,000 for professional services and administrative expenses, which are used to fund the various guest speakers and performers that we will see throughout the year at our library. So through you, Mr. Chairman, I'll pause there for any questions that the council may have.
I do not see anything. I don't see any questions.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda, we have a resolution appropriated unexpended funds from the Amplify grant to support behavioral health services. Last year, we received a grant for $5,000 to be used for eligible substance abuse prevention programs. This resolution will allow us to roll over the unexpended balance of $2,652, which we will end up using before the end of the month, this month in September of 2024. And there's a leadership training taking place on September 20th that will utilize the remainder of this grant. I'll pause there for any questions.
You can keep going.
All right. And then last year, we also received a grant from the Patrick Leahy Bulletproof Vest program. And we received $17,500 to fund 50% of the cost to purchase bulletproof vests. This resolution will allow us to roll over the unexpended balance of $12,500 to this fiscal year, and we'll have the remainder of the fiscal year to use these funds to purchase bulletproof vests.
Thank you.
All right, and the on to FEMA awarded the town of West Hartford and the city of New Britain joint assistance to fire grant in the amount of $365,000, significant grant that we received last year. This resolution will allow us to roll over the unexpended balance of $228,982 to provide funding for 16 fire personnel to attend 2 separate certification classes, a rope rescue class, and operations level course in man versus machine classroom and practical training course, and also funds the textbook expenses and personnel costs to cover overtime for folks attending the training. So we'll pause there. If there are any questions, happy to answer any.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. And next up, we did receive, you'll recall, we received $75,000 last fiscal year from the John G. Martin Foundation to fund floating docks and a waterside platform at 3 of our parks. And this resolution will allow us to roll over $4,200 in unexpended funds into this fiscal year to fund the installation of an ADA compliant ramp and then interpretive signs at those 3 ponds as well. Any questions on that? All right. So next up, last year, we also received a lot of rolling over of unexpended grant funds into this year. So we also received a $5,000 grant from the North Central Area Agency on Aging to support the hoarding disorder in-home support provided for West Hartford residents. And this resolution will allow us to roll over an unexpended balance of $2,775 to this year.
Okay, great.
And last year, our senior center was awarded $170,000 from the state of Connecticut Department of Aging and Disability Services for the purchase of a new senior center van. We purchased an ADA accessible van and this past July. And by this resolution, we will roll over $44,338 into this fiscal year for operating costs and vehicle maintenance of our new senior center van.
I actually do have a question on this one.
Okay.
Is the van up and running already? Just curious about it.
It is up. I'm not sure. Good question, Councilor Poland. I know we have it. I don't know if it's, I'll check that through with Helen Rubino Turco. That's a good question. I don't know if we're actually servicing the van now and driving folks back and forth between the 2 senior centers. So I'll find that out and I'll
Great.
have an answer for tomorrow night's council meeting.
Thank you. I seem to remember that we were going to need to staff up in order to.
Yeah, you know, as you were saying that, I'm trying to recollect the hiring of any part-time van drivers, which I don't recall seeing. So I'll find that out.
Awesome. Thank you. Sure.
And next up, we have a resolution appropriating unexpended historic document preservation funds in the amount of $1,049.50 to the town clerk's office for the purchase of a MapLink software program. There being no questions. Next up, we do have, we were awarded a $123,890 grant for an energy efficiency and conservation block grant, which was awarded to us from the United States Department of Energy. This will allow us to partially fund the replacement of 282 double-headed lamp posts, HID light fixtures, and 141 single-headed LED light fixtures in commercial areas here in town with public transportation routes into Hartford. So this would include the replacement of lights on Park Road, New Britain Avenue, New Park Avenue, Farmington Avenue, and Flatbush Avenue. So fairly new grant that we were awarded, and we can certainly, after signing off on the resolution at a council meeting, bring this forward to a Public Works Facilities and Sustainability Committee meeting with a more formal presentation of where these lights will be placed. Great. Questions on that one? All right. Next up, we have so if it was about a year ago that West Hartford, maybe not even, West Hartford was designated as a host community reception center in the event that the Millstone nuclear power plant had a nuclear accident. The Office of Emergency Management applied for and received a $25,000 grant to fund the purchase of equipment, supplies, and training necessary to improve our response to such an emergency. And I do believe we received a $25,000 grant last year as well. So this is the second year in a row that we received this grant through FEMA. Any questions on that?
I don't think so.
All right. Next up, this resolution will appropriate $4,000 received from the North Central Area Agency on Aging to help fund the support project for residents who require in-home supports in their residences. So this resolution will be placed on the September 24th council meeting. So the resolutions I just discussed will be on tomorrow night's agenda. This one and the next couple will be on the agenda for September 24th. And then in addition, our senior center received a $2,400 grant from the American Parkinson Disease Association to provide programs for residents over 55 with Parkinson's disease. And we will place this, as I said, resolution will be placed on the September 24th council meeting as well. And then we also received $72,716 in energy rebates for projects that qualified under the Connecticut Energy Efficiency Fund program, which is administered by Eversource. Conversion of lighting to LED fixtures, lighting controls, water heaters and pumps, upgrades to heating and ventilation and control systems were included in these rebate program. And then we will be able to use these funds for additional energy conservation projects upcoming during this fiscal year. And as I said, this will be placed on the September 24th council agenda.
Fantastic. So before we get to the next two items, let me just say that obviously, we don't have a lot to say about most of these items, and that we're accepting the money and are grateful for it. But I just want to acknowledge that these are grants that you've asked for, and that there's been a lot of work involved. So it's very easy for us to sort of nod and say, sure, we'll take it. But we absolutely understand the hard work that has gone into getting these really important grants, and great contribution for our taxpayers. So thank you to you and your staff for all the hard work on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We get to say okay, but you guys really went out and got them. So thank you for that.
Yep, thank you. So next up, we have a annual resolution authorizing suspense of taxes owed on the 2020 grand list for motor vehicles and personal property. And this is an annual resolution by which the tax collector identifies motor vehicle taxes and personal property taxes that are 3 years delinquent. And upon council approval, we would move these taxes to the suspense tax book. And this year we have $224,689. from the 2020 grand list that will be moved to suspense, $77,939 for supplemental vehicle taxes, and then $120,383 for personal property. This is a state statute which requires this resolution every year. And though we are putting these amounts into suspense, we will continue to pursue these taxes. And I do want to say this year, that total amount, as I said, was $224,689. Last year, this might be the lowest amount that we've had in many years. Last year's amount was $373,000. Year before that, I believe, was about $360,000. So we have had a staff member in our tax collection office who's been working very diligently in pursuing these taxes prior to us even putting them potentially on suspense. So I saw a reduction in this year's number. But as I said, we will continue to pursue these unpaid taxes as we move forward as well. And I'll pause there through you, Mr. Chair, and turn it over to the council for any council questions that you may have. But this will be on the September 24th agenda as well. It won't be on tomorrow night's.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Nope. All right. Enough of the fun stuff.
Very good. Yeah. So the last agenda item that we have this evening is an update on our ARPA funding status. And as you can see, we did upload the report for the council. And we've discussed a lot of these items in detail over the last several years, but by way of summary, we did receive, as the council knows, a town allocation of $25 million. And then we received almost $11 million for our county allocation for a total of $37.2 million. And over the course of the last 3 years, we have used these funds in ways that we feel best meet the needs of our community over that time period. And as of this evening, we have a balance of $1.23 million left. And then we have an additional $760,000 left over in our small business and nonprofit grant program, which if we, by resolution, we would have to do this, we would roll that unexpended dollar amount from that program into a program that the council would see fit for future funding. So that would leave us with if you include the $760,000 with the $1.23 million, that gives us an overall balance of $1.99 million. And we are obligated to, we need to obligate these funds by December 31st of 2024. And then we need to expend the funds by December 31st of 2026. So over the next several council meetings and this year, we would need to obligate that $1.99 million balance. And then we would have the next 2 years to spend those funds, as well as some of the other funds balances on the spreadsheet that you saw have been appropriated by the council, but have not been expended yet. But we will have to expend those as well between January 1st of 25 and December 31st of 26. So we could, I wanted to do this to put this on your radar. We don't necessarily have to make any decisions this evening. But over the course of the next few weeks, would be open to having conversations with our council in ways that we can spend that $1.99 million, and then bring that forward to a future finance and administration committee meeting by way of resolution, and make that appropriation as we move forward. So happy to pause there and turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman, and to the council as a whole to answer any questions you had, or potentially discuss options for these funds as well.
I don't have anything right now. Anybody else?
Yeah, just real quick, through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Thank you so much for this report, and it's to see everything in one place, how we've utilized these funds to help our town recover from the pandemic, I think is it's actually really meaningful to see how our council, and some of this happened before I joined the council. So kudos to those who made these recommendations, and to you, Mr. Town Manager, and the team for implementing all of this. I also just want to note that unlike some other towns, I think we've been really responsible in utilizing these funds, not for ongoing expenses, not for staff positions that we're going to need to figure out how to continue to fund once the grant ends. So I'm just really pleased to see the wide variety of ways that we've utilized these funds, and I just wanted to thank you and the finance staff and others who helped to put this together.
Thank you, Councilor Poland, and I'll pass those thanks along to the staff as well. But the council yourselves deserve most of the credit, because it's through your vision that we worked through some of the programs that we did that, and to your point of being proud of the way we've used our funds. You look at programs like our affordable housing program, $6 million of the 37 million, or 6 of the 25 that was allocated to the town to go to affordable housing. Not sure you can find another city or town in the state that's made that kind of commitment through their ARPA funds. And our small business and nonprofit program, and to your, not to reiterate exactly what you said, but to your point, I mean, there were so many different projects that we worked on together to ensure that we put these funds to the best possible use in our community. So agree wholeheartedly with your comments. So thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else want to certainly agree with that? Any other comments?
No, I just want to mention that I think, Deb, thank you, that Councilor Poland, that was very well said. And we thought of this as an investment, and we wanted to make sure that the dollars that we invested in our community benefit our community for the long term. And I think it does reflect that. And I want to thank everybody that's been involved, and it's been obviously a number of years of making difficult decisions on ways we could really utilize the money and make our community stronger. So thank you.
So if it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, and the committee, we can work on a couple of recommendations with you as well, and bring forward to our October. I think we have our next meeting might be October 8th, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds like a good idea.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And with that, I assume we have no communications or any additional staff reports.
Not this evening, no, sir.
And as again, any suggestion for future agenda items? I think we're ready, and we've done executive session, so I believe we are ready to adjourn. So we are adjourned, and thank you all for coming tonight.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
All right, take care.